Battlefielders, what's going on? Today is January 30th, 2014, and DICE has released a new patch. Heard a lot of bad things about it, some good things, but one thing that I haven't heard is anybody talk about Mantle. So I'm here to bring you the good news. Yes, those of you using Radeon graphic cards can now acquire the Mantle API. Now if you swing over to battlelog.com, they have a news post talking all about it, but for those of you that don't want to go over there and read away, I am here for you and I will read it for you. The patch notes include this. The new game update for Battlefield 4 brings the Mantle renderer that DICE has developed in conjunction with AMD. With the first release of Mantle, you can expect performance increases in the game if you have the hardware to support it. In this blog post, the technical director for Frostbite details this exciting new step for the Battlefield series. Mantle is a new low-level graphics API that we've been working very closely with AMD over the last 2 years, and it is a major change and improvement in how we are able to program and use modern GPUs in order to get the most out of them. EA and DICE claim that they have already heavily optimized DirectX 11 and 11.1 with Battlefield's Frostbite 3. But now they claim that they've significantly reduced the CPU cost in rendering with efficiently parallelized CPU cores and reduced overhead in many areas. Now the way DICE wrote their statements, it sounds as if this is just the first version of the Mantle API, and with later patches there could be even more difference in performance. In order to use Mantle, you will need the following: AMD Catalyst 4.1 beta drivers, AMD Radeon GPU with graphics core Next, and a 64-bit version of Windows 7 or greater, which would be 8 or 8.1. They have stated also a couple of benchmarks. Test case 2 used the CPU AMD FX 8350 8-core at 4 GHz with a GPU AMD Radeon 7970 3GB. On the level with Siege of Shanghai with 64 pseudo players to simulate a heavy workload, and the results were 18.87 milliseconds per frame and 15.8 milliseconds per frame, equaling up to 25.1% faster. Test case 3 hardware used an Intel Core i7 3970X Extreme with 12 logical cores at 3.5 GHz. The GPU was 2X AMD Radeon R9 290X 4GB with the settings of 1080p Ultra 4X MSAA, operating system Windows 8 64-bit. The results were as followed: 13.24 milliseconds per frame up to 8.38 milliseconds per frame, equaling 58% faster. With their third test, they used a single player mission, which I'm not sure why. They should have just used a multiplayer mission. And in my opinion, it'll be hard for average gamers to tell the difference in performance simply because they're using how long it takes to draw a frame instead of the percentage of how many more frames you would get. Because the average gamer, they want to know how many more frames they can get, whether it's 80 frames a second or 120 frames a second. Now with this most recent patch, with the Mantle being enabled and everything else, they've also released a performance tool so you can measure your own performance. Now to run this, you simply have to press the command console key and then type preference overlay.framefilelog enable 1 to start saving frame times, and preference overlay.framefilelog enable 0 to stop. I'm not exactly sure how that'll help anybody. Like I said, this is how long it takes to draw your frames, whereas I just simply use the standard of how many frames a second I'm getting at what resolution. That's good enough for me to know how good my hardware is running. So there you have it, guys. Mantle has finally been released. I really hope this turns out to be a great API, puts pressure on Directx from Microsoft, because I mean they really need to do better than they've been doing. Directx 11.2 has just come out, but really that hasn't done much to help the performance at all. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and I'll give you more Battlefield news later.